Today we're going to be creating a simple rock, paper, scissors game in Python, which will allow you to get very familiar with conditional statements and user input. So to start, we're going to import random, and the reason we're importing random is so that we can do a computer selection randomly between either rock, paper, or scissors. So then what we're going to first do is we're going to get the user's input on whether they want to do rock, paper, scissors. So we're just going to do So over here, we're asking the user to input either rock, paper, or scissors. And just to make it easier to validate user input, instead of having them type out rock, paper, or scissors completely, we're just going to have them type out the first letters. So R, P, or S, respectively. So I'm just going to tell them to enter that. And we'll move that down here. So now we're taking the user input and we're asking them to enter either R, P, or S so that we can see whether they want to do rock, paper, or scissors. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a list of valid inputs, and then we'll see if their input is in that list, and otherwise we're going to keep asking them until they give us a valid input. So valid input equals, and we're going to make this a list containing R, P, and S. And just to make this easier, we are going to wrap this in brackets and do dot lower, just to make sure that even if they do upload or do an uppercase R, P, or S, it'll still count. So now we're going to validate for the user input and say while user input not invalid inputs, that we are going to keep prompting the user to input either rock, paper, scissors until we do get a valid input. So over here, we're going to say invalid input. So now we have the user input of either rock, paper, or scissors. And what we want to do is we want to get a random selection of either rock, paper, or scissors for the computer. So we're going to say computer input, and it just so happens that we have a list of all the possible inputs from our validation here. So we could just use this list that we already have for the computer, so they can choose randomly from this list in order to get their input. So we could just do random dot choice, and we can do valid underscore inputs. So the computer will randomly choose either rock, paper, or scissors. So now we're just going to display to the user who chose what. So we're just going to print you chose user input computer chose computer input. So now we have you chose or computer chose. So over here, it'll say you chose R, computer chose S, which means you chose rock, computer chose scissors as an example. So what we can do now is we're going to set up all of our conditional statements to determine who won. So over here, what we can do, we can say if user input equals computer input, we can print it's a tie. So now this is if they input the same thing, we can tell that it's a tie. So if it's not a tie, we could just go down the list, take either rock, paper, or scissors, and then, input the result of whatever the computer chose and see who won off of that. So now we'll just go to elif user underscore input equals R. So now if the user chose rock, we'll see what the computer chose and see if the computer won or if the user won. So we can do if computer underscore input equals S, then we can print you win. Otherwise, which is only one other possibility, meaning the computer chose paper, we can print you lost. So now we have either you win or you lost. And instead of typing this out 3 times, we know that it's the same logic but with different inputs. So over here we have elif user inputs R. If the computer inputs S, you win, else you lose. So what we can do is just copy this 3 more times and then change the user input to P and then S and then change these accordingly. So now what we can just do is just copy this and just paste it and paste it again, making sure we have the right indenting. And over here we'll put if user inputs paper, then if the computer inputs rock, then you win, and otherwise you lose. And we can do the same thing here. If you input S for scissors, if the computer inputs paper, then scissors beats paper and you win. Otherwise, you lost. And I'm just going to fix that really quickly. There it is. Now we have our completed code. So what we do is we take a user input, see if it's valid. If not, we'll keep asking them. Computer will be a random input from these 3. Label who chose what. We have conditionals to see who wins, and it'll just output whether you won or you lost. So now we're going to try our game. So now we can enter either R, P, or S. So we're going to put in rock. So we chose rock and computer chose scissors, and rock smashes scissors, so we win. Now we can try this again, and we can put P. We choose paper. We chose paper, computer chose scissors, so we lost. If you want to make this code more clear, I just did it for time's sake. We can actually do rock, paper, and scissors here. So now we have the 3 inputs being either rock, paper, or scissors. And now instead of just being a single letter, we can just have the input the entire word and then see if that entire word is valid rather than just the letter. And over here we can delete that, and we can see if they put in the entire word. And in this case, the only difference you really have to make is everywhere where it says R, you could just change that to rock, scissors, and paper. You just got to change, if it's a single letter, you just change it to the full word. And so over here, you can see we've done it. We've changed it all to either rock, paper, or scissors, and then we can play this again. And then we can, if we put R, then it'll be invalid because it wants the full thing. So we can just put rock. We ended up both choosing rock, so we tied. We can try that again. We can choose paper. Computer chose scissors. Computer beats us. We lose. So yeah, that's pretty much a basic Python little game that really can teach you about conditionals and taking user input and validating user input. And it's a very good start in order to, kind of introduce yourself to the basic concepts in Python. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.